folks. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Food for Thought. Joining us today is Mike Fata, founder, former CEO, and chairman of Manitoba Harvest, the early pioneer in the Canadian hemp space. In 1998, Mike started the Winnipeg-based company from humble beginnings and led it until the successful divestiture of it in 2019 for $419 million. Along that journey, Mike kickstarted a plant-based food movement in North America, which he continues spreading that message today, wearing the multiple hats that he does as investor, visionary, chairman of multiple boards, and all-around advocate for a more sustainable plant-based future. If you're using hemp hearts on your morning yogurt or hemp oil in your favorite salad, you have Mike to thank for his entrepreneurial vision and multiple decade-long efforts. There is not a better visionary to talk all things hemp with. Mike, where does Food for Thought find you today?
At home in sunny Winnipeg, Manitoba.
So from 1998 to 2016, you ran all aspects of Manitoba Harvest as chairman of the board and CEO. Take us back to the inception of Manitoba Harvest. What originally ignited the idea for the company?
Well, personally, it was my interest in health and my changes in my diet and my lifestyle brought me to hemp. I think it was really the opportunity to share hemp's healthy attributes with the world was my personal reason for founding Manitoba Harvest.
So, going back then, in 1998, I was 8 years old, so I wasn't exactly immersed in the conversation of food, but I can't imagine that sort of the plant-based revolution that we're seeing now was a mainstream conversation at the time. So going back then, was anyone planting hemp at commercial scale or even at small scale? And what was more daunting, the actual business challenge and commerciality of growing the crop and how to market it, or the actual regulatory side of even the legalities of growing it?
Both, actually. And so because 1998 was the first year that hemp was legalized in Canada since the 30s, we indeed, Manitoba Harvest was one of the first companies to commercialize and start planting hemp seed. So there were some regulatory hurdles still after legalization, mostly due to misinformation or people just not knowing. So had to handhold a little bit Health Canada and the local health authorities and Agriculture Canada about growing the crop, because even though it was legalized, there was some concern about hemp's relation with cannabis and marijuana. But there was a tremendous amount to learn commercializing hemp and how to successfully grow the crop and how to manufacture and start producing food products from the crop and then educating consumers that they actually wanted to consider buying and eating hemp foods. So many different hurdles, but both from the regulatory side and from the straight commercialization.
Okay. And roughly speaking, how long does it take to grow hemp from seed to harvest outside in the Manitoba prairies?
Yeah. So, hemp's an annual crop. So it's planted in the spring and harvested in the fall. It's about 100 days from the time that it's seeded and through to flowering and harvesting of the seed. So once a year it's planted.
Okay. So you're a big advocate for organic farming, and the prevalence of monoculture type agriculture, things like soy, wheat, corn, has started to garner more mainstream attention of late. And that's because it largely, it affects soil fertility and requires greater use of chemical fertilizers. When growing hemp, what is hemp's effect on the soil? How often does it require a cover or a rotation crop? And is it commonly used as a rotation crop or vice versa?
Yeah, well, it definitely fits well into a farmer's rotation, and farmers think generally, in 4-year rotations when they're planting crops, and hemp is good in that rotation for a number of different reasons. It has a really long taproot, which helps to pull nutrients up in the soil and overall helps to aerate the soil. But it is a nitrogen demanding crop, and so if it's grown organically, then an organic farmer would need to add nitrogen to the soil, either through manure or through a green manure plow down like alfalfa, or even a nitrogen fixing crop like peas or beans go well with growing hemp.
Okay, very interesting. So I think a lot of times people are familiar with hemp oil and hemp seeds, but they don't actually realize that the fiber can also be used for for linens and clothing. There's companies like 10 Tree that have hemp, t-shirts and whatnot out there. On the building side, we've started to hear more examples of this. I think there's a company in Calgary called Just Biofiber who's created a hempcrete. Are any of, on the building side, are any of these commercially viable and being used in building, or a lot of the hemp offshoot use is still in R&D mode?
Well, hemp fiber and fabric has been around for thousands of years, and both from an industrial purpose and also for clothing. You have some of the old military uniforms and things that were clothing that needs to be durable was made from hemp, because it is very long lasting. And there's been a lot of development over the last couple decades, because people didn't want the rough, coarse kind of fiber in their t-shirts, and so many companies have worked to make that a softer fiber and a tighter weave, and so it makes more luxurious kind of fabrics. But at the same time, industrially, hemp is used in different applications for construction grade materials, where you can use hemp as a woven fiber for insulation instead of fiberglass. Hemp is used in a mixture of concrete, as you mentioned there, to make a hempcrete. But most of those are still in research and development or small commercial applications, and because it's still being tested against the building code. I know there's the University of Manitoba is very active in testing different hemp composites and materials that can be used in building products, but it's not widely commercial available as of yet. I think that's still to come.
Okay. Are there any significant challenges with the actual harvesting of hemp because the fiber is so strong? Is there any issue in terms of how you commercially cultivate the crop?
There definitely are considerations because of hemp's strength. Back in the day when some of the first fields back in 1998, 1999, our farmers had to learn what special techniques or considerations around growing the crop, just because hemp is so strong. Literally, hemp has the ability, and if it would wrap around certain belts or pulleys in some of the farm equipment, it could bend steel or break the equipment, or sometimes you had friction that would build up, and so you get fires happening. And so most of that has been through good farmer innovation, putting belts and guards and different things just to help so that the fiber can't wrap or can't bind up. But it's still, since hemp has only been commercially grown in Canada again for the last 20 years, there's still things learned each year that the crop's grown, and modifications to the seeding or to the growing or the harvesting is done each year.
Rewinding the clock to the inception of Manitoba Harvest, what was your very first product that you brought to market?
Hemp seed oil, cold pressed hemp seed oil was our first product that we brought to market, which is essentially taking the hemp seed and cold pressing it, and you get a nutritious essential fatty acid rich oil similar to flaxseed oil.
Okay, and what is your favorite hemp based product now, and how do you like to use it?
It's kind of like picking a favorite child. So I mean, cautious, but in all seriousness, Hemp Hearts has been my favorite product for a very long time. That's the soft inner kernel of the hemp seed, and I eat probably 5 pounds a month for over 20 years, and love Hemp Hearts on a salad, but also use it in smoothies and making fresh hemp milk, and basically topping everything I eat with a healthy serving or two each day.
Very nice. What information or advice might you have for somebody who's looking to try hemp products? Are there good resources within Manitoba Harvest, or places to go in terms of understanding? They might have traditionally used quinoa for something, that they could use Hemp Hearts, or they might have used chia seeds and they're looking, or using hemp oil. How would you kind of direct somebody as kind of a soft landing into the base of products that Manitoba Harvest has?
Yeah, nowadays it's a very soft landing for a consumer. So whether that's visiting manitobaharvest.com or any of the company's social channels, make it very easy to educate consumers on why they want to consider hemp foods in their diet from a taste and a nutrition standpoint. There's a countless number of recipes for kind of every time of the day, and there's actually you can get educated right from the growing of the crop right through to the end product through the Hemp University. Some that resource has never been better than it is right now, and people that are new to hemp can simply visit the website or some of the social channels and jump into the conversation.
Perfect. So I'm curious to rewind the clock back to, I believe it was 1995. You made a life-changing decision to lose over 100 pounds and go from somewhere around 300 pounds to your current 180 pounds. Was moving to a plant-based diet a large contingent of this transformation? And maybe just kind of take us back to that point when you decided, what your mindset was of how you were going to go about this transformation.
Yeah, well, the mindset then was I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Being 300 or 320 pounds, mostly from fast food, too much fast food. I was not feeling good all the time, and so I decided to do something about it. And it all started with small changes, simple things like instead of having a chocolate bar and a soda, I had a banana and a water, and just started making diet and lifestyle changes. A lot of it plant based, but at that time I was focused around the no fat diet because that was a popular, I guess, fad diet at the time where people, they thought you could, Dr. Nathan Pritikin's materials, if you eat no fat, then you can lose weight. But over the last 25 years studying diet and nutrition, definitely have gone more and more to a plant-based diet, or a Mediterranean diet, probably 80% plant-based and mostly focused around the nutrition of healthy fruits and vegetables.
So when you were approaching this, did you have an interest in hemp before that, or you thought, I'm taking on a more healthy lifestyle, I think there's opportunity for this to become a more edible product, I want to start a business around it? Or what came first, the changing of the your body and how you wanted to eat, or did that kind of spur the business idea for Manitoba Harvest?
The business idea came after, and I was on the no fat diet. I had the aha moment of it's not about no fat, it's about the right type of fat. Part of that was reading Udo Erasmus's book Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, but learned about the essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6, which hemp is the king or the queen of the essential fatty acid kingdom. And so I learned that essential fatty acids were good, not only good but essential to have in your diet, and that hemp was the best source of essential fatty acids, which led me to the thought that there was a commercialization opportunity and others would find interest in the products.
Very interesting. So over the last 25 years of studying diet and nutrition, what has most surprised you? Because even since then, when there was the no fat diet, we've seen a few different fad diets within that. What are some of the biggest common misconceptions, out there that people might think about, going about making a change about how to eat healthier, how to lose weight, or, just feel better about themselves, but largely influenced by how they eat or exercise?
I think it's my biggest learning is that restriction doesn't work. And so the when people even say the word diet, where diet is actually just the food that you eat, people think about diet as a restriction, avoiding a certain amount of calories or restricting oneself. But I like to think about it as healthy replacement, especially for someone that's trying to make changes in their diet. Take something that you like, that's maybe not healthy, and replace it with something that you like that is more healthy, and that's going to have the best results, because you're going to be able to maintain that not only as a diet but as a lifestyle. So I think it really starts with I think it starts with that, a good understanding of food and going towards just more and more healthy options, which obviously plant-based or organic fruits and vegetables is Mother Nature's true food. And then from there, get up and move when you're feeling so good because you're fueled by healthy food. Then it's a lot easier to get active through exercise or moving the body, which has a compounding positive effect on overall health.
That's some great insight. I'd like to switch gears now to where Manitoba Harvest started, but more so where it's come from then. So in July 2015, you led the majority sale of Manitoba Harvest to the Compass Group with an enterprise value of $132 million. In December 2015, Manitoba Harvest acquisition of Hemp Oil Canada for $42 million. And then the big one in February 2019, the strategic sale of Manitoba Harvest to Tilray for $419 million US. So you have considerable experience in the trenches on large scale deals. I'm curious, which of these deals was the most difficult to bring to fruition? And secondly, what is one of the biggest misconceptions about how these large scale multi-million deals actually get done?
Well, that's a great question. I think which of the deals was the most difficult? The acquisition of Hemp Oil Canada and the integration of those two businesses were very challenging. Thankfully, we bought the business from a friend of mine, Sean Crew, who had founded Hemp Oil Canada. But it wasn't that it was the biggest deal size, but you had two similar organizations that were both manufacturing and growing and manufacturing and selling hemp. But that's two teams, and so two unique cultures that had to come together. And so that took a good 12 or 18 months for all that to happen. One of the biggest, if you ask, misconception on the deals, every deal of size is challenging. And so I'd say there's no different in closing a $10 million deal than there is a $100 million deal or a $400 million deal. It's sometimes because of a press release, it can look like it's a short deal process or a big release that goes into media. But that process can take months and even up to a year to complete the due diligence, the legal transaction, and all the different varied parts to actually to get the deal done.
Is it difficult at all once you part ways with a company that you've literally built from the ground up and seeing other people run it for good or for bad? Has that been a difficult transition at all, or you're happy with the deals and what? I'm not sure if you're still involved at all in any capacity, but is that difficult at all? Because you led that business for well over 20 years.
So I'm not currently involved in the business, and yes, there is there's definitely an emotional aspect to it, being an entrepreneur and founding the business and growing the business and growing the people in the business up to 200 plus team members and so a long history there and so it is it's sad at times not being involved in the business. I'm happy that the transaction happened because my mission has been to and continues to be to educate people about hemp and get hemp foods into more people's fridges and their mouths, because I know that the world would be a better place and consumers will be healthier if they incorporate hemp into their diet. So I'm happy that the scale of the organizations that are now involved with Manitoba Harvest are a lot larger and can really help to the business fulfill the mission worldwide.
I guess that's a good segue then, Mike. Where are you investing your time now? What projects and different missions are you leading now?
I have a lot more time to always giving back or paying it forward has been very important to me. And but running a large organization, time was the limiting factor. Now I have more time in my hands, so I do enjoy building companies and strategies and teams around making the world a healthier place. And I find myself doing that with a handful of companies now where I'm invested in and help at a board level. But I also give a lot of time back to young entrepreneurs and help to mentor emerging brands in the health food and natural product space, and as well as chairing the Canadian Health Food Association and helping the association support our members across Canada that are focused on natural and organic foods and products.
I think that's a good segue to my next question, and sort of surrounding. Do you foresee a need for Canada to look at regionalizing its food supply chains? Obviously, because of COVID, we've seen the negative implications of a centralized food system and different choke points within different parts of that food system. I'm wondering, on sort of a macro scale, what do you think Canada can do to increase its food security moving forward, now that, food security has become a conversation of interest that, a year or two ago, not many people, would be having that conversation, but because of COVID, people have started to think about what they're eating, where their food comes from. Is it grown in Canada? Is it processed in Canada? Do we buy it from other countries? What thoughts do you have on that?
Yeah, I do think that COVID is leading to more of a deglobalization as countries, and specifically Canada, realize that you need to be able to produce what we need within our borders, and especially food. And so, that goes down to more of a local food movement. I think obviously because of our climate here, fruits and vegetables at certain times of the year are the most challenging to get in Canada. And so you're seeing more development of whether that's sophisticated greenhouse operations that can extend the growing season and be able to grow more of our fruit and vegetable demands locally here. I think you touched on it there, and it is big. We grow, Canada grows some of the largest crop-based commodity crops and specialty crops. But many of those crops are exported to other countries to do manufacturing and processing, and then are returned to Canada. And plant-based proteins are a great example of that, where now Canada has the opportunity and is making big investments so that the manufacturing is based in Canada, so that our farmers can grow the crops here. Our manufacturing companies can be making the healthy food products, and then they're being consumed in Canada. But I predict that we're going to see more of that, and COVID has maybe been a catalyst to that. But I think that we're going to go down more and more to a more of a local food movement in the different capacities.
Was that something that was always important to you when you were running Manitoba Harvest? You were a vertically integrated company, but having that processing capacity and bringing products that were Canadian grown, but Canadian processed as well?
Yeah, I mean, we were a vertically integrated company, and I helped to structure us in that way because we could control all aspects of the quality, and we really could tell consumers that we grew the crop, we helped to harvest it and manufacture, so we could guarantee what they were buying, that it was of the highest quality. I think is and second to that, we were a very environmentally and sustainably focused business, being a B corporation. And so if there was an option for us to buy some of our ingredients or packaging locally versus buying it from another region or another country, we supported that local business, and I think that was part of our strength that allowed it to grow so rapidly, and at the same time make a lot of positive friendships throughout the industry in Canada.
What do you see as the next wave of innovation or critical piece to the adoption of plant-based lifestyles, and not necessarily, talking about going to extremes of people, having to become, vegans or fully dairy-free, but just in terms of more general acceptance of plant-based options and consumers understanding? I think Manitoba Harvest, Beyond Meat, Impossible Food. Like, these companies have done fantastic jobs of marketing their foods, to the market incumbents who have had traditionally a lot of the power from a distribution perspective. What do you sort of see as that next wave of innovation, or that big opportunity or hurdle to seize?
I think it's continuing to make better tasting and nutritious products that are priced right and are available for more mainstream consumers. And if you look at even the dairy or non-dairy category, when I started in business, when we started Manitoba Harvest in 1998, the non-dairy category of dairy was maybe 1% or 2% of the category. Now it's up at about 15%. So the non-dairy items, whether it's hemp or coconut or soy or oat, make up 15% of the dairy category. Those milks and cheeses and butters and I think we're just starting to see the same in the meat category, where the plant-based meats currently are about 2% of the meat category. I suspect and predict that it's going to be similar to where dairy has gone, and you probably see the non-dairy even going higher. And is that going to be 25% of the dairy is actually made of non-dairy or made plant-based? And so I think the better tasting and more nutritious products that are offered, and as they fill more and more of the grocery stores' shelves, they're available to more mainstream consumers. You're just going to see that compounding effect.
I have two final questions for you, Mike. Many successful entrepreneurs have role models or mentors that they've looked up to. Who has played a pivotal role in your journey?
It's a great question. I've been fortunate to have been befriended by many of the, I'll call it, older guard of the natural products industry, both in Canada and the US, and just great entrepreneurs and founders of some of the leading businesses still to this day. And Drake Sadler from Traditional Medicinal Teas, and John Elstrad, who's been involved in a number of different businesses, including Whole Foods, and Steve Demos, that was the founder of Silk Soy Milk, and John Anthony and Steve Terry really helped guide me and show me what good looks like when it comes to the industry and relationships and how to really do business. And at the same time, I was building my friendships with natural products entrepreneurs of my time. So I'd call it my healthy peers that were also role models. And so, Ryan and Jeremy Black of Sambazon, David and Stephen Carr of Guayaki Yerba Mate, Frederick Schilling, the founder of Dagoba Chocolate. We were all working together to show that we were going to be the next level of natural products entrepreneurs, and if we work together, we could expand our healthy message and be stronger as businesses. So I'm fortunate to count many of those people as personal friends, and for many years now.
Final question. For better part of 25, 30 years, you've lived, eat, and breathe the business of food all day, every day. What is your favorite way to reconnect with food?
It's a great question, and I think for me it's garden to mouth. This could go to my Southern Italian heritage, but I like to grow food, get my hands dirty, play in the soil, take food from seed to harvest, and then get really creative with those products in the kitchen and make some great tasting and healthy, nutritious foods. And then share those at a big family dinner or a big dinner with friends, and so it's definitely celebrating the garden harvest.
Well said. Thank you for taking the time, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark.